Okay, well, today, purpose of this video is you're in a scenario where, you got natural gear, but maybe you don't trust, some of the pieces. Maybe there's a crack, but, you suspect that maybe this particular crack here, might fracture, so you want to spread your gear out. And you want to have, so what I've got here is, 5 pieces spread out. And, so how the hell do you clip into that? So why would you? The reason you would is if you came up to this, and, you had your typical sort of cordelette and whatnot, cordelette's not going to be long enough to tie in the other pieces. So this just presents another option for you. And so I'm going to show you how to clip into a 5 anchor station. This could work for a 3 anchor or even a 7 anchor if you had a lot of bad pieces. So that's what we're going to show you here today. I'll try to make it as real as possible, and I'll show you from this angle, and then I'll do a point of view, I think, afterwards is what we'll do. So basically, I've got the pieces placed here. I've got a couple of cams there, I got a couple of cams there, and I got another cam over there. For the sake of the discussion, I'm going to say that my direction of pull is coming from over here. So I want to get the station so that it's pointed that way broadly, right where I'm standing. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to do a clove hitch on this one. So I'll make sure it's the right length. That's a bit long, so I want to shorten that just a bit. I'll shorten that up maybe a foot or two. Do another check. Okay, so this is about where I want to stand. So I want to make these independent so that if one pulls, we're not, it's not shock loading the system. So I'm going to do another clove hitch here, and I'm going to clip that guy. So now I'll come back and get to my spot. I'm going to grab a beaner, and I'm going to give myself another clove hitch here, so that this second line becomes a completely independent line. So now I've got 2 completely independent lines, and then I'm going to go back to the next one, do another clove hitch. And I'm going to leave some slack, in between the two, so this rope between the 2 clove hitches just becomes a piece of dead line at the end of it all. And then I get another beaner, I come back to here, and so there we go. Now I've got 4 independent lines, and then I go to the 5th one, put that in, and so there you go. I've got 5 independent lines here now. One from my tie-in point to the first piece, then I got a little bit of slack between the 2. Comes back to a clove hitch here. Independent line to the next cam, some slack in between the 2, independent line to the next one, and I can even tighten that one up a bit. The idea being, when you're looking at your direction of pull, you see how ideally all of them are coming under tension at the same time, so that we're putting, if the load's coming from behind me, we're putting a little bit of load on each one. And this tactic works very well. you know, if you're traditional climbing, and it could be on new ground, it could be on an established route, where you know, you come up and you're just not happy with what's available, you know, right at the so-called stance. So you can, you know, I've done it horizontally here. You can do the same thing, you know, vertically. That also works. So just the point being, you know, at the end of this is to open up your options for setting up a belay. So one of the disadvantages of this is it does use, you know, a lot of rope or more rope. But I would rather use up the rope than just trust one kind of loose block, if you know what I mean. You know, expand the horizon, and so it does use rope. You may have to repoint the station once your buddy's leading. You might have to set some things up for an upward pull and whatnot. These are all good for upward pull in this case. One of the challenges, one of the downsides is if you do it like I did it, it's more difficult to escape from the belay. There's no question about it. You could, you know, rig it up so that you created a master loop with the for the 5 independent lines. That's definitely doable. So that would be an optimization of this. Those are really the two downsides for me. I've used this on granite, I've used it on limestone, I've used it you know, in tandem when I'm placing pins, as well as even bolts on occasion. If I place a single bolt and I want to back it up, you know, and the nearest backup placement is some distance away. So it's been a valuable tactic for me. I don't know that I've ever seen this taught anywhere else, but it is a good tool to have in your toolkit in the event that you, even if you're on an established route with fixed stations and bolts, and you go off route and you end up having to belay somewhere that's never been a belay before, and you got to make one up yourself using conventional, traditional gear. So it's a good thing to have in your toolbox. Now I'm basically going to show you here from the point of view. So I'm on, you know, I'm on lead. I've come up to a station. I've placed the anchors. They happen to be quite spread apart horizontally. I want to stand about right here for this belay, and for the sake of it, the pole is going to be coming, you know, from that way. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a clove hitch for the first piece. I'm just going to double check that it's you know, pretty much in the right spot. I want a little more slack there, so I'll give myself some slack. And so yeah, that's about right where I want to be, and I want to make sure I can reach that piece, which I think I can. So I'll just give myself a little more slack. Then, so the next step, you leave a bit of a, what I call a clothesline in between the two pieces. It's not meant to take any load. It's just so that they don't interfere with each other. Then I come back to my position and I get a beaner. And in this scenario, I'll just, you know, clip it there. I do another clove hitch here. And I want to snug that up so that it's, you know, it's coming under tension at the same time as the other one. So there we go. So we got both now that are coming under load roughly at the same time. Then I take the next one and I get my next piece here, do the same thing, kind of do a check. Okay, I got to tighten that. So you can see you can actually do this pretty fast once you know what you're doing. Leave the clothesline, again, the dead line in between the two. Come back to here and grab another beaner and clove hitch, and same thing again. I want to tighten that guy up so it comes, there we go. So now we got 4 lines, 4 independent lines coming under tension at the same time, and then I go back from here to this one, 5th, and clip that guy, come back. Okay, I gotta shorten it. I gotta shorten it up a bit. So shorten that guy up, which is a nice reason to use the clove hitches. They're very easy to adjust. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm going to tighten that one up a bit more. And so there we go. We now have a station, a 5-piece anchor, and each one of these pieces is independent of the other. And using the climbing rope does also add some shock absorption to the station. One independent line from my tie-in to the first cam with clove hitch, loop of slack over there, another clove hitch back to this carabiner here. You can see it's under, you know, a little bit of tension there. As I lean back, they all come under tension. Third independent line, the clothesline in between, another clove hitch, comes back to a clove hitch, and then over there. And there you can see, you can actually see each line, each piece sort of bearing a little bit of the load, and completely independent of each other. So, you know, three of these blocks would have to fail for this station to fail. And the point being here that, you know, when you do it, you know, like this, you open up your options. You know, there have been cases where on alpine rock climbs where a boulder shifted and 3 pieces failed in the same crack. So you want to be cognizant of looking around for the fracture lines, and then, you know, put 1 or 2 backup pieces on a different fracture line. There's a famous case of that with Barry Blanchard and Dave Cheeseman on the north face of North Twin. The whole place exploded. Their belay fell apart except for 1 backup piece that was in a different fracture line. So it can happen. I'll repeat. There are some disadvantages to this. You can see it does use quite a bit of rope. Now, if you are climbing on double ropes, double 9s or double 8.5s, you won't use as much linear footage, if you will, because you're splitting the usable rope up between the 2 lines. So it does use a lot of rope. For me, I'd rather have a bomb-proof station and deal with the lack of the extra rope than just trust, you know, that single block over there. Even if I put 2 more pieces in that block, I don't like the block. I'm not happy with it by itself. The other one is, you know, this is difficult, more difficult to escape from. You could bring this all to a master point. You know, it wouldn't be, you can just see it right there. It wouldn't be that difficult to make a master point in the event that you were required to escape from the belay. That's one of the other options. And you still reserve the right to, you know, you could use your prusik on a couple of these and kind of mix and match. We've done it horizontally here. The same thing can be done vertically when you're on a real climb. So a great tactic, a great technique to have in your toolbox for those situations where there's not really good gear at the so-called belay station.